Would we like to introduce it all, Cue Ball, as your host?
Let's wait for the stream to show up before we like start doing anything.
Alright.
But I need a lens here. I can't actually see what's
okay.
being broadcast to Moss ranking. And you have my volume, right? Like the game volume. Is my game audio going to come through? Because that's important for a couple of things.
I will bring your game audio to your stream in a sec. So let me turn off
like
the music.
There's a couple things where the music is going to matter.
That's a problem because your desktop audio listens to me also.
It's not essential to have my game audio, but I do not have an OBS setup that can split these out.
Cosine, if you're using the current version, you can create an OBS. You just right-click Add Capture, and it's application audio.
Yeah, application audio is pretty much built into OBS now.
It's worth the time.
If it takes less than 2 minutes to set up, I would just do it right now.
Yes.
Okay, let's do some on the fly OBS work with Cosine. All right, what do I need to do right now? How do I do this?
So underneath your window capture, underneath your desktop, you right-click and add a feature or a capture. You do application audio. It's in beta. It says, but it works fine.
Application audio capture beta at the top. Got it.
And then you select Spelunky 2 once it prompts you, and then you need to reset Spelunky 2 so that it can recognize it.
All right,
if it doesn't immediately get the audio.
Spell 2 as no title, whatever.
And then just look on the little bar.
Okay, so what you're saying is I should mute the desktop audio and set up the Spelunky audio as the only source.
Yes.
So that would cut out all the Discord noises.
That's right.
Yeah, and also make sure your mic is muted.
On the stream?
Yeah, because we're playing the stream audio.
Because we're playing your stream audio, so your mic should not be on your own stream.
Okay, so I'm going to be silent on my stream, right?
Yes.
Okay, you know, whatever, they'll get over it. Sorry, chat. I literally haven't even opened my chat. I don't know if anyone is there. So let me... Alright, so I have muted my stream now. I'm going to mute my desktop audio. So go ahead and tell me how it sounds then. It should just be the game audio.
Let's see.
Is what you're telling me. Source. And then Discord is getting streamed. That would cut out all the Discord noises.
I can still
hear
does
it sound good?
Mic, but I think that's because of and also make sure your mic is muted. Oh, this is going to be dumb, isn't it? I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because we're playing the stream audio.
Because we're playing your stream audio, so your mic should not be on your own stream.
This is okay, so I'm going to be silent on my...
Oh,
what's the issue here?
We set this up wrong. That's my bad.
Do I need to do anything here?
Is it so on your OBS, is it just the game audio?
I literally muted everything in the audio mixer except the application audio capture that I just made, which is at max volume right now.
Place, how's it sounding? Can you like move around, make noise?
That's what I've been whipping. I've been whip spamming, and you can hear the camp music.
Yeah, so this works, but unfortunately, that means your commentary has latency now.
How much latency latencycy? Like, how bad is it?
You could do what Hazel did before, where you just deafen Cloyce in the stream.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Okay. So, Cosine, we're gonna not do the application audio. You're gonna run all the audio through your stream.
So undo that, deafen Cloyce, and then that... That should work. The timing for this is all good, right?
Yes, because it'll all the audio and video will be coming from you, so it's synced.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys do that. Wait. I'm just gonna deafen and mute.
Okay, so you're gonna use my stream to get your audio into the Moss ranking stream.
And our voice chat as well. Yes.
That is correct.
So
okay, so I've gone back to streaming my.
That is correct.
Okay, so I've gone back to streaming my audio and desktop through my OBS stream. So Cloyce, you do your thing.
Now we're good.
Wait,
testing.
Hold on, I'm trying to understand this. Wait, I'm not gonna be able to hear Cloyce if you're deafened. I'm trying to understand.
He's not talking. We're hosting the segment, or rather, Cue Bowl is as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we're good to go, then I guess we can start.
I don't hear you on Moss Ranking. I don't think.
Well, Cloyce is deafened. Who's capturing the audio from Moss Ranking? Who's streaming?
It's your stream on your stream. So you go back to desktop audio. That's what it was.
I am on desktop audio right now, but Cloyce is muted, so that is not going to come through on my stream.
I can't hear myself, is what I'm saying.
You can't.
But no, I think we're good now.
You should be. I mean, refresh it if you think there's a delay.
I think I'm delayed.
I mean, I set it back to what it was before.
Oh. Yep. Testing. Hello, chat.
This is incredible. I'm counting on someone else to tell me if everything is good to go here.
Yep.
I could start.
There's the
Sounds
double
good.
stream delay, but I think we're solid now.
Okay, as long as it doesn't sound like ass. I'm sorry, bad word. As long as it doesn't sound like butts, then we're fine.
That was on the list, cosine.
Oh, no.
Oh, goodness.
Nope, I
Alright.
ruined it. I soiled it. Alright, we're no more bad
ready to
words.
go,
That's
then.
the only thing in the swear jar. So we're doing the glitch showcase. We've here, and I tried to find a combination of glitches that are both fun to watch and also actually useful in your runs, depending on the circumstances. So we'll start off with probably the most important one of the bunch, which is back item glitch. So before I set that up, let me explain the tools that we're using here. We have Overlunky. If you don't know what Overlunky is, it is just a free open source community made like scripting and modding API for this video game. Like it's specifically focused on like the scripting aspect and a bunch of utilities you can use to look into the game state, monitor entities, and then Playlunky would be the thing that you would actually use to like load mods into the game. There's some overlap between the two of them. Don't worry about it too much. When I'm talking about mods, I'm referring to my Overlunky setup that I have right now. So in addition to base Overlunky, this is a mod that I have made for the purposes of this demonstration that can just load like any specific level. So if I want to demonstrate something related to like the Cosmic Ocean, I can warp there. If I want to demonstrate something with a jetpack on player 2, I can warp there. That's what this is going to be. That said, every glitch that I'm going to demonstrate here is you're capable of doing this in the vanilla game. There are no like cheats going on here per se that you couldn't perform in a vanilla game. However, for the purposes of this demonstration, I will be using things like God mode. I will be teleporting my player around because we have a limited amount of time and a lot of things to cover. But just take my word for it, these are all vanilla game mechanics. You do not need any of this API to actually make these glitches happen. It's just much easier to demonstrate them like this. And then you can see an input display on the corner of the screen. What that input display is showing is player 1's inputs on the last executed frame. And when I'm talking about frames, in the context of this game, a frame is a 60th of a second, and using frame advance, this is me stepping forward the game one game update at a time, 1/60th of a second, and the input display is showing the buttons I had held on the last frame that executed. Just to clarify, if anybody's wondering what that shows, there is no input display for Rafi up there because he is not going to be doing much of anything except whipping occasionally for some of these demonstrations. I will be using frame advance when I need to show something in slow motion because there are a lot of frame perfect tricks in this demonstration. Things that you only have like 1 or 2 frames to perform correctly or the glitch will not occur in the way that you want it to. So hopefully that's reasonably clear. Don't worry too much about things looking technical. And this thing over here, you don't have to worry too much about this. If it's hard to read, if you're watching on your phone, I'm just going to be clicking these warp buttons to go to specific screens to demonstrate specific things. I will try to verbally explain everything that is happening and show it to a reasonable degree of clarity. So without further ado, we will now go into the first glitch of the showcase, probably the biggest one that we have, the back item glitch, which sometimes it's like the back item glitch, the stale reference glitch, the back item duping. They're kind of all lumped into the same category of glitches. I'm going to start under the assumption that you don't know what I'm talking about. So let's start with something simple. Isn't this a common
Cosine.
What's wrong?
Really quick, do you mind turning some of the game music down? It's a bit loud over you.
Too loud? Got it.
Thank you.
Nope, no, this is good feedback. I want to know this now. I don't usually even have the music on when I play this game, so I don't know for sure how it comes across on the stream. Anyways, so here's a common predicament. There's some really cool drip in this clothing shop here, but there's only one of them. And I really want to get one for Rafi and Valerie here. There is a glitch that allows us to do a lot of things with this, and the most practical application is duplicating it. So let me just show you what that is, and then I will explain what's going on here. So I'm going to run over to the exit. Rafi is currently wearing the mustard cape, and we want to get a mustard cape for Valerie too. It is important that player 2, let me move this down a little bit, it's important that player 2 is the one wearing that, and I will explain why later. So we now have an interesting situation. Player 2 has a back item, and that means that that back item has a lower entity ID than player 1. Every entity in this game is given a sequential number when it is spawned in. You can see this tooltip that I forgot to turn off when I started the showcase. Rafi here is entity 4159, Valerie is 4163. This is very important for how this glitch works, because there is a interesting interaction that can happen within a single frame in this video game, where you can actually get two players to have a reference to the same back item, meaning that both players think that they're wearing the same item on their backs. So what we're going to do is this very specific setup here. I have Valerie pressed up against the wall with the cape, and then we're going to position Rafi roughly here. He's in the middle between these two grid tiles. I'm going to go ahead and turn these off because I don't think we're going to need to show this anymore, and it's annoying. And then what Rafi is going to do is spam whip. If you look at the hitboxes for what's going on here, I can zoom in the camera a little bit more as well. Rafi's whip is very close, but not quite hitting Valerie's hitbox, which is right here. And then I can equip the cape to show what's going on with this. We need to hit the cape on the same frame that Valerie equips it. And there's a 10 frame window to do it with this technique. So what I'm going to do here with frame advance to show like kind of slowly what's going on. I need to zoom the camera out because it's going to pan down. What I'm going to be doing here with frame advance is I'm going to wait for Rafi to front whip the cape, and then I'm going to put it on. So let me get it into the corner. Rafi's going to hit the cape into the corner where he can't reach it. He's going to spam front whip, and then I'm going to put the cape on into the knockback of the front whip, like that. And now I'm going to unpause, and what you'll notice here is you heard the cape equip sound. You saw it teleport to Valerie's back. It's not actually on my back, but Valerie thinks that she is wearing the cape right now. Valerie has a glitched reference to that back item that is sitting on the floor there. She thinks that she's wearing the cape, but the cape does not know that it should be equipped onto Valerie. It is a two-way reference. That is the crux for this back. It enables a lot of interesting things that you could do with this game. For instance, I could pick it up in my hands because as far as Valerie is concerned, she's already wearing a cape and can therefore hold a second one, even though it's actually the same exact item. I could still slow fall with it. Rafi could pick up the cape. I could still slow fall with it, and if it's being worn by somebody, it'll do this cute little fluttering animation. Every back item, of the 6 back items in the game, they all have some different quirks and intricacies with how they work with this interaction. And Rafi also has the back item and can use it at the same time. We essentially have 2 players wearing this back item. And now the most obvious application for this is the duplication glitch. So I have God mode turned on right now, so I won't die to the enemies. I'm just going to like move myself to the exit of the level and leave. And that is, and Rafi got knocked out of my hands, but he still has the cape. I can still slow fall, and Rafi's still wearing it. When I leave the level, what's going to happen is the game is going to check both players and say, were you wearing a back item? And then it's going to store the, just the type of the back item that we were wearing in memory. And at that point, we have essentially duplicated the cape. And as you can see here, we both have a cape now. Let me zoom back in. That is the crux of the back item duplication. This is what you do for all 6 back items if you just want to duplicate it. However, there's more you can do with this glitch than just duplicating it. This is just an introduction with the yellow cape. I will show what all the other items do. I just want to show a couple other cases first for how you can perform this glitch. Just keep in mind that what I'm showing now applies to every single one of these back items. Just be careful about the intricacies of what happens if you try to use them while nobody's wearing them, or if you destroy them for any reason, because that'll tend to cause problems. So one of the scenarios that you might run into is a crust item. If you're in single player, you'll notice that I needed a second player to bring the item into the level with me. And again, that is because I need that back item to have a lower entity ID than the player. And since players generate from player 4, 3, 2, and then 1, that means that if players 4, 3, or 2 bring a back item in the level, player 1 will have a higher entity ID than the back item, and it could therefore duplicate it. The details of why that has to be the case are complicated and out of scope for what I'm showing here. Just take my word for it. With the exception of Osiris, which is a weird edge case that I might not be able to get to, the player duplicating the back item must have a higher entity ID. Or the other way around, the back item must have a lower entity ID. And now what's interesting about this situation is this is a cape in the crust. This generated into the level before Valerie spawned. If you have a crust item, or an item that generates in Waddler's storage in the Ice Caves or Sunken City, it will always have a lower entity ID than all of the players, and therefore they could duplicate it. Whereas this item in the shop here, and I need to just turn this back on. This item in the shop here is not a cape. It is, you can see the text there, but if it's hard to read it, that is an item purchasable cape. And if I were to go into this shop and buy it, it will actually turn into a cape, which means it will spawn a new entity that spawned into the level later than Valerie. So if I go over here and purchase it, you'll see that it goes from entity ID 400 to entity ID 4276. So this is why you can't do this with shop items. They're not actually back items yet. They are a placeholder entity that will turn into a back item when you purchase them or when you steal them. So let's show what we can do in single player with this crust cape here, because this has a lower entity ID than Valerie. We don't have another player to whip this for us, but what we do have are sources of knockback. You don't need a whip in order to perform this glitch. You just need something that can knock back the item on the same frame that you equip it. And incidentally, this punch trap is capable of doing exactly that. So if you pay close attention to what's going on here, frame by frame, Valerie's purple hitbox here is really close to the spear. I guess that's called a spear from this punch trap. If I shove the cape into this as I equip it, it will take knockback from this totem spear, and that will do the same thing that getting hit by a front whip would. So if I'm just frame advancing through this, the thing is extending. I put on the cape, and you'll notice that even though it made the sound, it's not actually equipped, and that's because I have a glitch reference to it. This is a way to duplicate a back item in single player, which could have applications if, for instance, your run is going to go to Duwad, or if you want to put a backup in a Waddler room. If you have the correct setup for it, you can duplicate any back item in single player if it generated in the crust or if it came from Waddler's room. And as you can see here now, I have one on my back and one in my hands. I have duplicated this cape in single player. So the glitch, although it's very useful in co-op, it is not exclusive to co-op. There are ways to do it in single player. Now back to the co-op scenario, I'm going to show you one more situation with the cape intro here. And that is the case of a player who doesn't generate at the end of the level. That would be a dead player. So if, for instance, Rafi here had an unfortunate mishap and got crushed in a wall, we can still duplicate this back item. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So Rafi is extremely dead right now to something I had nothing to do with, and he's going to be in a coffin in the next level. And his entity as a player doesn't exist until I open that coffin. So if I just figure out where that generated, because I actually don't remember where it is. Is it up here? There it is. So Rafi hasn't spawned in the level yet. That means this cape is going to have a lower entity ID than he does. And that means that we can perform the dupe with this cape. That's the other edge case to this. You can get away with doing this even if player 1 has the back item if you have a dead player who gets revived in the level. So in this particular case, Rafi is the one who has to perform the dupe while Valerie can whip it instead. So I'm going to position myself there, get Rafi. I'm going to make sure that he just barely gets skimmed but not hit by the whip. And then he's going to equip it into the front whip. I missed it. Let me move a little closer and see if that'll do it. It's hard to do this, by the way, because I have to articulate keyboard controls for 2 characters because I don't have a good controller setup for this, so bear with me for a second while I get the lineup correct. We're not going to be showcasing this part very often here. Okay, this should work. There we go. So Rafi just performed the glitch, and now has a glitch reference to this cape, and it's the same thing as before. And then the last little tidbit about transferring this glitch reference around is, if I unequip this as Valerie, it just drops on the ground. I no longer have it. Rafi still has a glitch reference to it. However, if I put it on and then Rafi presses the unequip input, so down plus door, he can actually knock it off of my back. But this is essentially the cape detaching from the player without the player knowing that the cape was detached, and now Valerie has the glitch reference to the cape, and Rafi does not. And that's how you transfer the reference. So this will be useful for other glitches potentially. If you need a specific player to have the reference, you can get the glitch reference onto any player as long as you remember that you can do that. You can unequip it to knock it off the back of the person that has the real item, and that essentially gives them a glitch reference to it. And then Rafi could pick it up, and you can see how the tables have turned. And now we both have a reference to it again, but the other player is wearing it. So that's the gist of, that's the introduction to back item glitch. What I'm going to go ahead and explain now is briefly what happens with the other 5 back items that we haven't showcased, because the mustard cape, to be quite honest, isn't very interesting. You get a slow fall. It's better than nothing. There's a couple of them that are objectively worse than this, but let's quickly like shoot through what the other ones are. Also, anyone in the commentary booth, how much time do I have left? Just what's my pace?
We're about 13 minutes in.
13 minutes. Okay, so we'll be able to finish this and probably the door cancel and some of the other stuff after that. We've got a few things lined up.
Do you think you could just turn down the master volume on the game a little bit more?
Master volume.
Just so we could hear you better.
All right, I'm gonna have to change these afterward. Going down. There we go. I mean, there's not really a master volume, but that's the audio effects. Is that better?
Well, it'll take a little bit. It's
okay, whatever. Tell me again if there's a problem.
Okay.
Do what you have to
Aaron,
make this audible. What?
Yes, Aaron, we might not be covering that one here since it's a bit complicated to display in solo.
To be clear, I
can't
read chat right now and answer questions because we just don't have the time to do that. So I apologize. This isn't going to be like the science streams that I normally do on my own time. We need to get moving here because we don't have a lot of time, and there's a lot of interesting stuff I want to show everybody. So anyways, let's quickly go over what the other ones do. So I'm going to save a little bit of time. I need everybody to take my word for it. What I'm about to tell you right now, instead of doing the whipping like technique with this back item every single time, take my word for it that if I use the Spelunky feature to take this back item and pull it off the back of the player, that has the exact same effect of giving the glitch reference to the player that I pulled the back item off of. It'll save me a little bit of time if I don't have to set up the whipping technique for everybody, so please just take my word for it. Pretend that that's what I did, because now Rafi has a glitch reference to the power pack, and Valerie has the real power pack. In the case of the power pack, nothing particularly interesting happens. You keep the reference, and you can just fire whip. Like that's all that the power pack really does. It's not terribly interesting. Moving on to the next item. Hover pack. This level might look familiar because I just copy pasted it. So once again, if we move Rafi a little bit, if we pull the item off Rafi's back, Rafi now has a glitch reference to this item. And what's interesting about this one is normally nothing interesting happens here. If Rafi tries to air jump, like I'm mashing jump right now, nothing happens. Valerie can use this normally. However, the one thing that you could do with this particular scenario is you can unequip the item remotely, and Valerie is now stuck in the hovering state until she either touches ground, which you can't do since there's none level with her feet right now, or she dies. And if you get whipped while you're doing this, you just kind of get stuck like this. Like I'm permanently stun locked now, and only Rafi can move. So it's not a very useful interaction, but it is very silly. So if you want to prank your friends, feel free to do so. Just don't do it to me. I'll be sad. Next item. We're getting to something actually useful now, jetpack. So this is the one that most of you probably wanted to see. Jetpack and Vlad's cape after this are by far the most useful ones. So again, pretend we perform the glitch. Rafi has a glitch reference to this item. I'm going to transfer the glitch because it's easier to show this as Valerie. So let's have Rafi unequip that. Now Rafi has the real item. Valerie has the glitch reference. I am using the fuel from this jetpack, and I can fly forever if Rafi stays on the ground. Let me turn the hitboxes off. So you have infinite flight if another player has this back item equipped. And the reason why that happens is because standing on the ground is the criteria to refuel the jetpack, and the jetpack is just checking whether the player who's actually wearing it is on the ground But Valerie is just checking if she has a reference to a jetpack with fuel. Like, you can see how the two-way reference causes this bug to work the way it does, and it's a little different for every item. But as long as Rafi stays on the ground, I could fly forever. And if Rafi were to go hang on a ledge, then I would run out of fuel, and I wouldn't be able to fly anymore, and neither can Rafi until he goes back onto the floor and refuels, and then we could both fly again. But again, if we're in the air, we'll run out of fuel. There is one situation in solo play where you can also make use of this, however. You don't need another player to have the back item. First of all, if you hold it in your own hands, it just acts like a normal jetpack, except you don't know how to put it on correctly, so it's really silly looking. But if you go through the level here, I'm going to turn God mode on, find an active floor. An active floor is basically any solid like tile that can move. The active floor also qualifies as being on the ground in this situation, and therefore it will refuel the jetpack. And so once again, I have infinite fuel. So you can do this with like these sliding doors, you can do it with push blocks, basically any like block-like object. You can put a jetpack on it and it will function the same way as a player holding the jetpack or wearing it, and it will refuel for you. So this is a solo scenario where you could get the infinite fuel if you didn't have another player to hold on to it for you. You can also do this if Caveman picks it up. So that the general rule is if something is on the ground and it is holding the jetpack, even if it's just an active floor tile, then it'll work. It does not work for regular floor tiles because they use a different collision system. So that's the basic application of the jetpack, and obviously you can use this to do things like queue and skip. So like there's a lot of possibilities here. Anywhere you want to fly to, you can do it with infinite jetpack fuel. You just need to bring one to the level that you want and be able to duplicate it by having the correct entity IDs. Next item, Vlad's Cape. Vlad's Cape, this is going to be a teaser because the co-op run is going to show the true power of the Vlad's Cape back item glitch. So again, pretend I perform the glitch. Rafi now has a reference to this back item. What this does is Rafi can force Valerie to jump. If you look at my input display, Valerie is not jumping at all. I'm not pressing any buttons. Rafi is forcing the double jump mechanic to be applied to the person wearing the actual cape. Every time Rafi air jumps, Valerie jumps instead. Like just a little short, like double jump hop. And normally that's not very useful. It's just kind of annoying. However, this is one of the ways that you can get out of bounds, and we're going to go into that right after we talk about the telepack, because door cancel is the next subject. So just hold on for a little bit, because the Vlad's Cape one is going to be by far the most interesting one of the bunch, and we will go into it in co-op. So that's a tease for now. We'll come back to the Vlad's Cape in a moment. Let's go over the last one, the most dangerous one, the telepack. And we're going to do this in Olmec because the telepack has some very interesting properties that we were too scared to show off in the co-op run. The telepack will teleport whatever entity is wearing it, regardless of who has the glitch reference to it. So if Rafi performs an air jump, I'm going to teleport. I'm going to move away from Olmec so I can show this. So let's go downstairs a little bit. If Rafi performs an air jump, the person actually wearing it is going to perform the teleport instead. Even while I'm standing on the ground, Rafi can force me to teleport, just remotely. And if I teleported down, if I was holding down and Rafi pressed jump and I didn't have God mode on, or I could just roll a 1 in 5 and survive that. But Rafi can essentially force Valerie to teleport with this. However, players aren't the only thing that you could teleport with this. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer the glitch reference because it'll make this a little easier to show. So now Valerie has a glitch reference to the telepack and Rafi doesn't have one at all. If I were to jump and then press jump again in the air, my game would crash. The telepack is looking for whatever entity is holding it in order to teleport it. And if nothing is holding it, the game is essentially just going to go reference some random memory and it's going to crash, which we don't want that to happen. However, similar to the jetpack scenario, if you put this on an active floor, that qualifies as an entity holding the telepack. And so you can make it teleport by doing this. Some active floors will crash the game, others will work perfectly fine. They, however, do not refuel the 3 teleports. As you can see here, I can no longer make the push block move. So if I pick up and place the telepack again, it'll once again move. Another quirk of this is that the push block is facing right. Almost every active floor in this game is facing to the right and will therefore teleport to the right. You can't really get them to go to the left. I forget which ones have special cases for that, and a lot of them are just straight up crashy, but in the case of push blocks, they're always facing to the right. Now there is something else that we can perform this with. that doesn't crash, surprisingly enough, and it's this big guy right here. So if we just get on Olmec's head and drop the telepack on him, and then get really far away, we can make Olmec teleport as well. So it's very silly. I don't know what the applications are for this, and if you make Olmec teleport out of bounds or like telefrag himself into a wall, you will probably crash your game. Like almost certainly crash your game, because it'll destroy the telepack and or Olmec, and Spelunky just does not like that. You are not supposed to be able to delete Olmec, and you should not delete the back item. And that segues into the final point of the back item duping glitch that I want to talk about, which is do not destroy the back item while anybody has a reference to it. It will almost certainly crash your game. It's the same with every single one, not just the telepack. If I were to destroy this telepack right now, Valerie still has a pointer saying that she is wearing this object in the game's memory. If that object gets destroyed, Valerie will not update that pointer, which means I have what is called a stale reference. You may have heard this from some other games. Stale references are really dangerous, and they will usually just crash the game if anything tries to access it. If I were to destroy this telepack and then leave the level while I still had a reference to that spot in memory, who knows what occupies that memory now? It's very volatile. Another entity could be there, some other data could be there. And when I leave the level, the game is going to try to access that telepack to get some information about it and figure out like what was Valerie wearing, were there any attributes for it. That usually just straight up crashes the game. And if it doesn't crash the game, it usually destabilizes it, and it'll crash like a level or two later. You could sometimes get another item attached to your back. It's very dangerous. We don't know exactly how it works. Under all circumstances, do not destroy the back item while anyone has a reference to it. You can, however, destroy the back item if I were to unequip it first like that. So Valerie's not wearing it, and then Rafi downstairs is not wearing it either. Nobody has a reference to that telepack anymore. We could shove it in the wall and the game will be perfectly fine, as long as nobody is wearing it. So that's like the last gotcha about this glitch. Do not destroy the back item if anybody has a reference to it, either a normal one or a remote one. I think that covers the gist of the back item glitch. We will now move on to door cancel. How much time do I have?
Sorry, a little off guard. We're about 24 minutes in, so maybe 10 minutes remaining to cover our stuff.
All right, we're gonna expedite this then. Door cancel. So door cancel is sort of has some overlap, but not quite yet. Vlad's cape will show us the overlap. So really quickly here, door cancel is an older glitch. And what it essentially is you can exit the door entering state. So I have a hired hand here that I've helpfully programmed to hold a cape for me, which is not normally possible. Don't worry about how I did that. The gist of door cancel is if the tile that you're standing on while you wear... Sorry, buddy. If the tile that you're standing on while you're wearing a cape or a jetpack is destroyed, you can input a jump in order to exit your door entering state, and you enter a sort of like impermeable, intangible, pass through everything game state. So in order to show that, I'm going to just do it in real time here. I'm going to enter the door at the end of my Matic swing, and then I'm going to mash jump. And I was able to input a jump, and I could just start flying around like through the level like this. That's the gist of what door cancel is. And in this case, I have climbing gloves equipped, which actually allows me to collide with basically any tile in the level if I carefully align myself. And there's a reason why I'm in the eggplant level, because there's actually something really useful you could do with this. So I'm going to showcase it with a cape this time, because it has a similar like feel to it. So once again, buddy, you go over here. And the other thing I will do is I will perform the glitch with a bomb instead, because all you have to do is destroy the tile under your feet. You can use a Matic, you can use a bomb, as long as you get rid of it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to enter the door right as the bomb explodes, and then I'm going to mash jump. And if I time it right, I will be able to get into the door cancel state by doing this as well. And I'm setting up a couple ropes because those are one of the things that you can grab while you're in the door cancel state. And there we go. So I was just mashing jump, and now I can like go through walls just like I could with the jetpack. And in this particular case, if you have climbing gloves, you can actually climb up the interior walls of the back layer like this. And we're gonna just head up the eggplant child, because why not? Just go get a free eggplant child. And there we go, we now have the eggplant child. The problem with this is we can't leave anymore. This is a co-op only glitch because so far nobody has found a way to get this player back in bounds. I can't use doors anymore. I can't interact with anything. I can whip, I can move around, I can't like throw bombs or ropes. I'm kind of stuck in this situation, and in a co-op run, I could have had player 2 or whoever leave the level for me, at which point we would have the eggplant child, and we could continue our run normally. And furthermore, I have the Ankh equipped to demonstrate that if I fly out of bounds and turn off God mode, forgot about that, I will die, but this will not revive me at the start of the level. It will just put me in the front layer, in the same place where I died, and I will just die a frame later. So we do not know a way to get out of this state. It would be nice if we had one, but it is a good glitch to have in co-op, just in case you don't have a Vlad's Cape and you still want to do some nonsense, like clipping through walls. So that's the gist of door cancel there. Now we're going to do the Vlad's Cape variant. So let me do that one. I'm just going to reuse this here. Now I will explain briefly what's going on here. Again, I'm taking too long to do this. I was afraid this would happen. So I have given myself a glitch reference to the cape by using Spelunky to pull it off Rafi's back. If Rafi jumps, I get a forced jump. That can also force you into the door cancel state. So there we go. I just entered the door as Rafi was spamming jump. What's interesting about this one is the game thinks I am standing on this tile right here. And what that means is I can actually move around and jump. I could unequip this cape if I wanted to. I can whip. I still can't use bomb or rope, but it gives me infinite jumps. I'm not in the situation where I was, where I'm just stuck passing through terrain. I can actually jump infinitely, and you can also pick stuff up in this state, which is very precise. So frame by frame, I'm going to try to pick up this stunned man trap, just like that. And I can just bring it through the level with me because I'm in this weird invulnerable state where it can't like fall out of my hands, but it can still eat things that I touch with it. So I can give this man trap a feeding frenzy here, and then when I'm done with it, I can just go throw it a ton or something. Here you go, ton. Enjoy. Delicious. So that's kind of the gist of what you can do with this glitch. We will go into a lot more detail about this in the co-op segment, so I'm gonna leave it at that for door cancel. All right, next segment. Let's see how many of these things we can hit. So this is taking longer than I thought it would. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to everything. Let's try to hit some of the key points here. So I'm going to show a little bit of Hundun jank that you may or may not have seen or understood properly. So here's the Hundun level. Hundun is slow. He takes a long time to get to the top. So I'm going to run this command, and assuming it doesn't crash my game, that should teleport Hundun basically up to where I am. So first, let's demonstrate Hundun infighting. I just advanced 4,000 frames, by the way, is what I just did with that command there. If you're curious what it is, I don't know if you could see that, but I just ran an update state command 4,000 times. So let's trigger infighting. Infighting is a glitch. I'm going to pause the game for a second. Infighting is a glitch where one of the Hundun heads shoots the other one. Hundun will retaliate against the entity that damaged a head, and if the chicken head damages the snake head, the chicken head will retaliate against itself, and the default behavior when a head retaliates against itself is to shoot a fireball at itself, and the fireball will fire straight to the right. That's just the fallback mechanic when the source and the destination are the same point. If the snake head does that, it doesn't really matter because the fireball just goes straight to the right, but if the chicken head does that, it'll shoot the fireball to the right, hit the snake head, at which point it will target itself and fire another fireball. So we just need to wait for it to shoot. And there you go. That is the Hundun infighting glitch. So if you've ever seen this before, like that's the explanation of why it happens. The cycle can be broken if Hundun, like the Hundun entity, instructs the chicken head to shoot at something else. But otherwise you get what we just saw there. And then the other reason that I have a shield here is because the shield is silly with Hundun. So if I just fly over here, Hundun head is just really stretchy. Like you can't crush it with the shield, but you can move it around for some reason. And it looks really dumb. It's not useful for anything. It's just funny looking. So if you ever actually manage to get a metal shield into the Hundun fight, I mean, you could just do this. I'm going to turn off God mode. If I turn around here, I'm going to take a hit. A couple hits, actually. But as you can see, like, this still works, and it's just really funny and weird. So is this useful? No, not really. But, you know, it's silly, and sometimes that's all it takes for a glitch to be fun and interesting. So Hundun's probably going to murder me in a second here, but that's the gist of what I wanted to show with Hundun jank. Infighting, and then the shield, just because we're there. So at the very least, I want to hit the Cosmic Ocean now. The rest of the stuff I wanted to show is not exceptionally important, so let's quickly go over the Cosmic Ocean, because there's a lot of jank associated with that people don't understand, and I think it'd be a public service to explain this stuff to people. So, the Cosmic Ocean. The loop is not actually like an infinite level. You see these entities here? These are teleporting borders, and essentially, if I go over here and touch this, as I go across it, the game is going to teleport me to the other side of the level. It looks seamless graphically, but the game is actually just warping me to the other side of the level. I hit the left side, I get teleported all the way to the right side of the level. That's how the Cosmic Ocean works. It's the same with the vertical loop. The problem is entities can only exist on one side of the loop at a time. So here's a classic situation that'll show up every now and then in a clip somewhere. Is you have this situation with this orb. And if we zoom in closely, notice that the orb's hitbox, like the blue box, isn't there. And that's because it's on the other side of the loop. If I fall through the loop, or if I wait for the orb to bob up to the top, now you can see its hitbox. And if I wait just a little bit longer, it's going to bob back down through the loop, and the hitbox is gone. If I try to stomp on the orb while the hitbox is gone, this is the interaction that you get. And this might look familiar to anyone who's had this happen to them and end their CO run. I'm not stomping the orb. I go through the loop, I'm inside of the orb, and I get stunned instead. In this case, I bounced straight up, so I actually got lucky with that one. But that can kill your run if you hit it at a weird angle. Be very cautious about orbs or anything dangerous at the loop boundary. The same thing applies to like these giant flies, for instance. So if I'm hovering over here with my jetpack, waiting for an opportunity to stomp it, I'm waiting for it to bob back down a little bit, so just give it a second here. Come on, go back down. I could probably just do this in real time. Alright, so if I'm waiting for it to bob back down, I will just take the hit stun from it, even though I should have stomped it there. Be very careful at the boundary of the loop. This does have the advantage, however, that you can walk through the jelly if its hitbox is on the other side of the loop. I would not recommend actually doing that. Then just a little bit more jank, if you've ever used a teleporter across the loop boundary, the camera will actually pan through the entire level, as you can see here. Oh, I ran out of teleports, but the camera, I'm going to turn God mode back on for this. The camera will actually pan through the entire level. This is mostly just visually disruptive, but you might, if you had a keen eye, you might have spotted that I actually saw an orb there. You can use telescanning as a way to search a really bad level if you have a teleporter. It's up to you if you want to do it, because it's kind of nauseating and really hard to watch, but it is a viable strategy if you have a really big Cosmic Ocean level and you can't find an orb. If you spot a little glimmer of that like purple orb, telescanning could be useful to you. Alright, next thing, Cosmic Ocean, orb shield attachment. This is not useful, but it's really silly looking. If you push an orb with the shield, everything works as you would expect until you take it to the loop. So I just need to get the right height. Everything is working as you would expect it to. And now, well, now things aren't working as you would expect them to. This orb is parented to my shield now for some reason. If I turn around, it's going to stun me because it's going to flip to the other side of the shield and hit me. However, if I don't turn around and I decide to scrape it off on some terrain instead, I can take it all the way over here, push it up against the edge of the level like this, and then just kind of scrape it off. And now I just have an orb friend, like, following me around. It's actually attached to the shield right now. If I were to unequip this shield, drop it, get stunned for any reason, the orb would detach from the shield. But in this situation, I just have an orb friend following me around. It's silly, it's not useful, and you could soft lock yourself with it. Because you might be wondering what happens if I get really, really far away from this orb. And that's easy enough to show. Let's just scrape it off on this bit of terrain here. So now it's like really far up above me. If I go through the loop like this, the orb is attached to the shield, so it's not going to interact with the teleporting border because it's parented to something, and the parent entity is the only thing that can touch that border. That orb is actually out of bounds right now, and if I were to throw the shield like an idiot, I can no longer break that orb. Because even though it looks like it's here, it's actually outside of the level right now in a spot where you can't damage it. So that's a thing to watch out for if you're going to screw around with this. You can also do this glitch with the wooden shield. Not useful, but interesting to say the least. Last thing for the Cosmic Ocean, glitchy ledge hang. You may have seen a clip of this every now and then. A situation where a player just inexplicably falls out of bounds in the Cosmic Ocean and just dies. And this is why that happens. If you grab a ledge on the same frame that you stomp an enemy, and then just fall through the loop, you just fall out of bounds. And the reason for that is because the glitchy ledge hang is a state where the game thinks you're parented to that ledge, but you're actually able to walk around the level. And when you're attached to an entity, like I said earlier, you don't interact with the teleporting border. The game is waiting for your parent entity to interact with that border instead. And if you look at my coordinates here, I'm at negative like 500 now. I'm going to fall forever. If I throw ropes, they just disappear a frame later. And if I throw a bomb, it's going to explode instantly, which is going to stun me, knock me off of the ledge that I'm hanging on right now, and allow me to interact with the kill plane. And that will delete me from the game. So if that has ever happened in your Cosmic Ocean run, that is the reason for it. You were in a glitchy ledge hang. 2 tall All Might stacks just happen to be the right height to do it like 100% of the time. If you like crawl over the ledge like that, if you fall from most heights. And again, once you fall out of bounds like this, you're done for. Your run is ruined. There's more intricacies with the glitchy ledge hang that we don't have time to show off. For instance, you can get this ledge hang on active floors like elevators, and you will kind of like get moved around by the elevator while you also move around the level. And if you find yourself in this ledge hang state and you don't know what to do, all you have to do is jump off the ground to clear the state. So if I do this, and then I just press jump while I'm on the ground, then I interact with the border normally, and I'm back in bounds in the level. So if you think you're in that state, just jump off of the ground. You cannot jump off of the air, that will not clear it. So if I do this here, and I walk off the edge, and then I press jump, that will not clear my glitchy ledge hang state, and I will fall out of bounds. The only way to get out of this is to die. If you have an Ankh, you will get teleported back into the level, otherwise your Cosmic Ocean run is over. This can also happen with things like orbs next to short walls, or like maggots, or any flying enemy, but it's most common with All Might stacks. So keep an eye out for that. How are we doing on time? There's one more thing I really want to get to, and that's the back item speed conservation. So how long have I been taking here?
We're at about 39 minutes,
39
but the solo
minutes.
segment's important, so you could show a few things.
Okay, let's at least hit back item speed conservation. This one is hot off the presses. I literally found out like how this worked yesterday. It's another stupid glitch, but it's really silly looking, so I definitely want to show it. When you equip a back item in this game, the game does not set its velocity to 0. Normally that doesn't matter because you can't equip a back item while it's in the air or moving around. But in this game, items can slide on the floor like that, and that means they're on the ground and you can pick them up, but they have a high horizontal velocity, and that can cause a very peculiar interaction to happen here. So I'm going to turn the hitboxes off. But this force field is going to knock this jetpack back in such a way that it cannot stun my character, but it's going to be sliding across the ground really quickly. So I'm going to try this a couple times, and then I'll use frame advance if I don't get it. I'm going to try to equip this jetpack the instant it touches the ground. And you get this. I'm not pressing any buttons here. My jetpack is beating me to death right now because it preserved the velocity it got from the laser, but it is no longer in a state where it can't hit me because I equipped it. And for whatever reason, this back item, despite not actually moving, will relentlessly murder me and chase me through an Ankh revive to end my run. This is a really weird niche case that usually happens if you're in a gambling shop and you're like juggling back items. It's not terribly useful if you do it like this. However, there is another way that you can use this, because the velocity for an object to hit an enemy is 0.15 units per frame. Or to hit a player is 0.15 units per frame, but back items will damage enemies at 0.10 units per frame. And that means there is a window where you can equip a back item that will give you like a damage aura, where it's not moving fast enough to hurt the player, but it is moving fast enough to damage the environment around you. So I'm going to show that real quick. This is also not terribly useful, but it's amusing looking. You just have to be very careful, because if you screw it up, you're going to get the version that kills you. And you can't unequip the back item while you're stun locked, so you're basically screwed if you accidentally do that. So with frame advance, what I'm going to do here, and I'll show the hitboxes this time, is I'm going to try to pick up this jetpack after it has slowed down for a few frames of sliding. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's equip it there and see if we get the glitch. And you can see here, I just bumped the dice. I'm not pressing any buttons except moving around the level, and I was able to bump the dice. And that is what is weird about this state. My backpack is moving fast enough that it can just hurt enemies now. if they are not moving in the same direction that it is, I can just like stand under things. Sometimes they'll hit me, sometimes they'll die on the same frame. I could just walk through jars, can knock over gold piles, or pick them up because I'm bad at this video game. It's not exceptionally useful, but it's really silly looking, and I have to wonder if there's more potential to this glitch that we haven't discovered yet. But you essentially just have a damage aura attached to your player. You can't hit arrow traps with this as far as I'm aware. You can, however, kill enemies that have bodies by just shoving your back item into them. So this poor hamster is going to demonstrate for me. Essentially, this backpack is just moving constantly. The game thinks that it is moving at a high enough speed to damage enemies, but not the player. And it will do that until I unequip it or leave the level. So, again, this is brand new. Feel free to find ways to exploit this. It's very amusing. I don't know how useful it is, but, you know, people are creative. Maybe we'll find a way. Next thing. This is level generation jank, which there's not a whole lot of this left in the game. But essentially, you can get a shopkeeper outpost in the Quillback level. Normally, it wouldn't be possible to do this because you can't kill enough shopkeepers. You need 20 points of aggro. You get 4 points every time you kill a shopkeeper. But if you telefrag a shopkeeper, you get another point of aggro. And that can be exploited. Or rather, not another point, you get another kill. So you get 4 more points of aggro if you telefrag a shopkeeper. So what I can do here is I can rope this guy and murder him to death. I do have God mode on to reduce the odds of screwing this up. I now have 6 points of aggro, 2 for being a vandal and 4 for killing him. But if I were to pulp this shopkeeper, I now have 4 more points of aggro. And this might be hard to read, I just want to show it really quick. I now have 10 aggro levels from killing 1 shopkeeper, and I need 20 to spawn an outpost. So if what I do now is I take this to the next level, and find another unfortunate shopkeeper or 2 to murder. Let me just go see if I can find the shop. I have God mode on, so I won't risk dying during this, so I could show it quickly. I need to make sure that I murder this guy. Also, this shop is stacked, by the way. Get out of the way. There we go. So we kill him. I heard that Discord boop. I need to turn that off. I'll do that in a moment. And then we need to murder this guy here.
It was just Clay's letting us know we're a bit over time now, so we should wrap it up and move to the co-op.
Okay, this will be the last thing I show then. But anyways, we're on 1-4 now. There's a shopkeeper outpost where like the player coffin would have spawned in the Quillback level. It's weird level generation, but it gets weirder than this. Here's a couple other scenarios that I was able to generate. Here's one where the outpost just replaced the path to Volcana. There just isn't a back layer door anymore. The game just put them over there. I could roll Quillback over there, the ghost jar spawned in the way. Yeah, this is not supposed to happen. They did not program the game to account for this. And you can see in the back layer as well, it's just gone. It just didn't generate. And then the last one is if you have a shop generate, because the gift shop got replaced by a shopkeeper outpost, then you get this outcome here, where if you go into the back layer, it didn't even generate the gift shop, it just made this like weird cursed spaghetti back layer with a caveman shopkeeper selling the gift items. So if I curse myself real quick, those gift items will actually spawn in and I can actually purchase them because I'm not going to rob the caveman shopkeeper. I have a moral compass and it's just the gift shop, except the caveman shopkeeper is manning it instead, and it's just somewhere else in the level. It's a very weird level generation edge case stemming from the fact that you are not supposed to be able to get a shopkeeper outpost on 1-4. The earliest level they expected this to happen was 2-1. So that's the gist of that. And I think unfortunately we have to cut it here. I had a few more things to show, but I got most of the big ones. Just some of the interesting janky glitches. Again, these aren't as wild as they are in Spelunky HD, but there are still some weird things that you can do in this game if you know how to exploit it correctly. Door cancel and back item duping being by far the most like exploitative ones. So with that, I think we're done with the showcase. Are we ready to move on to the co-op segment? The solo showcase is done, rather.
I'm ready.
All right, you got a lobby up?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
I'll hoist the code.
All right, I'm going to restart my game, and we are going to just rush our way through the co-op run, which will hopefully take only 20 to 30 minutes.
And then, Cloyce, if you are watching, we're moving to Cue Ball's stream, which you'll need to switch over.
I'm going to continue streaming, by the way. For anybody who's watching my perspective, I apologize to my chat. I literally have not looked at my chat since I started doing this. And then we're just going to need to be a little bit more quick about this. We don't need to linger on any of these levels, really. That was the code for anybody who was wondering. There's not any room left in the lobby. Alright, we'll pick our usual character. And Cuball, you may ready up when you're prepared.
Just set
Alright,
the stream.
am I good? Can you hear me? You can mute my
We'll have to
stream,
wait
so...
for the... Yeah, we'll have to wait till Moss ranking stream shows up. I think... Yeah, you're live
Alright.
on there.
So I'm gonna be demonstrating some co-op glitches here.
Yeah, we're primarily going to be focusing on like the things I sort of touched on during the solo segment with like the Vlad's Cape, but there are a few other like co-op only things that might happen if we get lucky here. It has to be a bit opportunistic. Not get every item we want in the run, but we're going to do what we can. As long as our cursed player doesn't die, we should be able to gist.
This is in...
Well, you're free to throw in commentary as you want. This shop
Yep.
is terrible. Is it the turkey level?
Yeah, it's turkey level.
Yes.
Can
Okay.
go. So you're gonna get the eye because you're gonna go to Vlad's Castle.
Yeah, Vlad's Cape is pivotal for this. And while we may be able to get to Vlad's without the eye, we don't want to risk not being able to get there if we just get terrible resources. So Ujat Eye is important for this. We're going to be doing chain, even though it strictly speaking isn't necessary because things never go the way you want them to in Spelunky. I think it was up under the shop, I think. So somebody bring it up there and say when we're ready to leave the level.
Thank you.
Alright, you're welcome.
Ba, ba, ba.
Can
Wow,
I
it's
just
all the
leave
way up
when you
here,
pick
isn't
it
it?
up?
I know, right?
Yeah, it's always up at the top, isn't it?
In a really bad spot.
You have to bomb for the key, and then it's just
Yeah,
completely
I'm just gonna
inaccessible.
go. We got the Jedi. Nobody mentioned a ton shop or anything. We're also, of course, trying not to risk the run with things like robbing shops. So we're gonna be playing a little bit careful here. We only got one shot at this. We're running out of time because Cosine took too long to do his showcase.
Have any bombs to dig
Yeah,
down?
roll him a couple times and kill him.
So you're gonna go Gist, by the way. For
Yeah, Gist
hopefully some
is just for resources and maybe a back item to showcase another glitch. That was
What the
weird.
heck?
I've never seen him do that. He just like stomped the instant he got off the edge. Okay, I think we could start bombing down at this point.
Oh fuck. I mean,
Hey,
no.
You know, that was on the list.
Bad
Sorry,
words.
sorry.
There's a
go
quill
ahead,
back
freeze
outside.
freeze the gist, and then try to get rid of Quillback. We do want to have the bombs.
Ghost is on the door in a few seconds. Be careful.
I'm trying to get the ghost to come up. All right, ghost is going up. You have time. Try to kill Quillback and get the resources.
Oh, gem. Alright.
We would love to showcase like Kali Altar ball and chain shenanigans, but it's extremely risky and not reliable. There are so many things you could do in these co-op runs that unfortunately you can't condense into a single run.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Oh,
I have
At
acquired
least-
all of your things.
least nothing got
Item
lost.
transfer complete. I'm
Key
gonna go in
vault
there
for
and
that
get the
F word.
medic.
You are getting a 2,000 moss point fine.
Oh
So that'll be
no.
deducted from your moss
Oh,
total.
I don't think I even have 2,000 moss points.
Well, you're going in the negative. You're in the red now.
You
Right,
owe
I'm
moss
holding the
ranking.
medic. Whenever everyone else is ready, we can go. The medic is also just another backup strat in case we get a terrible level like this layout here that I don't want to deal with, which is just like lava and misery everywhere. We can just go down instead.
What a really bad level.
All right, drill is on 2-4. Don't believe we're doing anything here. I'm gonna medic. The shop might have some bombs in it if you want to go for that.
I don't plan to drill if there's a shop right there.
Is the shop under the drill? I'm assuming it is.
Yep, let's not do that.
Alright, we're going down this way. Please do not run into my backswing.
We can do.
I'm very
this
bad
later.
at swinging the medic. If you could just like kindly not look at me, so I'm not so embarrassed at how bad I am at timing that, I would appreciate that.
None here.
Thoroughly humiliated.
All right, so basically, escalator. So, you want to freeze a corpse?
Yeah, we
Then
have
you
some
wanna pick
time
it
to
up?
kill here, so we're
Oh
showing
my.
something irrelevant to getting Vlad's cape.
Yeah,
It's just a little bit silly and maybe
can
like
just-
some interesting low percent
just
tech.
boot them, but make sure to pick it up because, like, if you don't, you just bounce off it. It's because like when something is held, it doesn't take any damage for some reason. Savior.
Alright, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Alright, I'm ready. So I have the cape, and if you remember the solo segment, sorry, I forgot to hold right. If you remember the solo segment, the player with the highest like slot number has the lowest entity ID. They generate in reverse order. That means anybody in this group can duplicate the cape that I just brought in the level and can just generally perform the back item glitch with it. So you
Okay,
try to
watch
get
out.
Olmec over here where he's not going to cause problems.
All right, cool.
That's
I'm waiting for
fine.
him to move. Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to do something really cool here. This is the thing I was teasing during the solo segment. This is the same glitch. We
Alright.
We just exchange the back item reference, and I'm going to spam jump.
And I'm gonna go in the door, and I remember this from Kosine's solo segment. I
And
can
remember,
actually
I
pick
picked up
up.
a man trap, but you can actually pick up a whole lot of things,
Yeah,
including
I
some
can-
illegal things that you're not supposed to.
Like
You could
the
pick up
Ankh.
players and deposit them in places they don't want to be, and you could go steal the Ankh and just bring it wherever you want.
Ready?
Yeah, you can go.
You could hold on to it, you could put it in Waddler, you could throw it at the start of the next level, you could take it all the
And-
way to Hundun if you're feeling really dedicated. I do believe there is somebody who has done that in this community. Is it useful? No, not really, but it's funny looking. You cannot clone the Ankh for anybody who was wondering, by the way, so putting it in, you know, right there? Putting it in Waddler for later is unfortunately not going to let you clone it. It just will not interact with the clone gun.
Very sad. Oh, okay.
It's sad, but it's still
They
amusing.
at least thought something through, even if it's typically impossible.
You could pick up all the power-ups. I believe you cannot pick up like health drops and bombs and ropes, if I recall correctly, but you can pick up power-up items like the Ankh. If for whatever reason they didn't clear the pickup flag, it's just that usually if you touch that item, you would just collect it. I don't see anything particularly interesting here. Anything good in the gambling, or can we go? I think we're
Still
3
gambling.
items in. We don't have to finish the gambling. We're short on time. We should probably just
Yeah,
go.
let's go.
All right.
Watch out for that. Glad you didn't get hit by the poison there. Oh, and I guess if it wasn't obvious, me and Cube all both have a cape now because we also
Oh, yeah,
duplicated it by both having it equipped when we left the level. We'll be doing more of that as the levels go on. Alright, I will collect the sword. Again, we're doing chain. It may not be mandatory, but it's a safety strat to improve the odds of success in the run.
All right. Well, this is where I'm going to.
I'm
Or
digging.
where we're going to be doing the
Um,
glitch again.
I don't... Do you see the door? Which side is it on?
It's
I don't
bottom
see
right.
it.
Bottom
I
right.
can mine to it.
Go for it. Alright, Cube, I'll get over here.
I'm coming.
Yeah, let's grab this kid.
Alright, so you need to collect my cape over here. Again, it has the correct ID for this.
Yep.
That enemy better not come over here. I'm gonna get my back.
It's coming.
Alright, change the glitch. Same thing as
All right.
before, I am mashing
Yep.
jump.
And I'm gonna go in the door while he's
So
doing
this
that.
is the same thing that we did in Olmec's room, but there's a different application for it.
Yep,
As
I can
Keyball
actually
will
go
lovingly
in-
demonstrate.
I can go into the lava right here and pick up the not the idol.
So you're invincible when you're in this
Yep.
state because you're in the door entering state. So you can just go through lava. Just do whatever you want. Just don't fall out of bounds and don't telefrag yourself. Those are the only things that can kill you while you're doing this.
Good to go?
Yep. Believe so.
And now we have another Vlad's cape, and nobody had to die to get down there. Sure, we had the resources to just do like a bomb cascade or something, but that's not nearly as cool looking.
Someone got to do.
Anything fun to play with down there, or are we just gonna leave when we kill Kingu?
I don't
I
see
know hermit
anything.
crabs. We've made them extinct down here.
Alright, no push block. Oh well.
Where'd
Can't
you
show
go?
everything. I have acquired the tablet.
See you, Shofty.
Cracked jade bat. Ooh.
Oh, check that.
Oh, that's a big. That is
Okay.
a big
Wow.
shop. Buy both of those if we can afford it.
I can wear one of them. I'm P3.
All right, so find a safe spot to do the hover pack thing. We need to get the eggplant child as well because, as I showed in the solo run, you can get the eggplant child by using door cancel. But we have Vlad's cape door cancel, which is way more powerful than the jetpack variant.
And much safer for sure.
So let's find the waddler room. I think it's over here.
Oh, it's right side. Oh, nope. I think it's
Nope,
this. I think it's the headless one
it's
here.
this one. It's this one here.
Turkey.
Oh, there is a boulder coming. Stay indoors.
We should be fine. All right, same as always. This is the same thing I did in the solo showcase, except with the Vlad's cape door cancel instead of the jetpack or the mustard cape.
Can we actually go up
And
to?
in this case, since Cue Ball is theoretically standing on the ground as far as the game is concerned, he can jump forever. So you don't have to worry about like grabbing walls or ropes. You can just fly up there.
Yeah, I can also go down to the mothership and pick up the PC. But we won't take it to Neo because
Yeah, we don't need more
For reasons.
liabilities in this run. If we were low on bombs, though, we would probably take that. It is worth noting throughout all of this, it
You
is
can go, by the way.
imperative that Cue Ball does not fall out of bounds because the cape will be destroyed. And as I mentioned, if anyone has a glitch reference to a destroyed back item, the game crashes. So
Wanna
we
do
do
the
have to
hover
be
pack thing?
careful.
alright, hover pack. So we're gonna do this.
Find a safe spot to do that because if
We
you get
found
hit by
a-
a spark, if you get hit by a spark trap, then well,
I'm gonna
see
unequip.
previous comment.
So what's happening here, Cue Ball?
So Remy is in the hover pack state because I unequipped the hover pack from her. Then I can just stun her and
It's the
And-
same silly
yeah.
nonsense from the solo showcase. So, abuse your friends. Just do it in a funny way. Are you ready to leave?
yep, we can go.
Alright, do make sure we don't lose that jetpack. We want to have that for Tiamat
Hold on to it.
to show its proper potential.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like we have the Ushopti.
Alright, I'm making my way out of the level. Ready to go?
I believe so.
Again, we have the Ushabti as a backup. We should have plenty of equipment to be able to finish this normally, but it never hurts to be safe.
It's a good way to.
A
Good
little
place
dangerous. I'll
You're right
check it
here.
out.
So I'm right here. We have a spark trap. And remember how before when I said that held like items or like things can't get damaged? Well, this also applies to spark traps.
Yeah, with
They're
the
not
exception
that-
of like the eggplant and pots, things in your hand like can't take damage.
It's very
Let me know when you're
strange.
done up there.
Yeah, you can go.
Alright, so we have a jetpack. You keep all justice, you're gonna have to deal with that.
Yes, I'm gonna kill
Remember the
Tiamat really
remember the
quick.
infinite fuel from the solo showcase? Well, this is what better place to use it than here.
Oops.
Careful now, don't hurt
Almost
anyone
done.
with those. Nice. But I don't have the time to do that properly. I'm washed up. That's why I do science.
We could do it down here.
Oh, a good idea. Oh, hi.
Yes.
Alright.
That's pretty fast. And then
No.
you unequip yours and you can get the reference.
Basically,
Oh wait,
It's the
no.
opposite. Nope, it's the opposite for
Yeah.
this one. Remember,
Because every
back
item is different.
Every
Yes.
back item's a little different, and in this case, you want the player with the real item to be standing on the ground. Yeah, you know, why not? I'll put my life in your hands. This has never, like, done me wrong before.
What are you talking about?
Like, honestly, Keelan is really a joke at this point. Like, with the number of ways that we can get through these lasers, why even bother? And we did it. Good work,
Yay.
team.
Oh,
See
nice.
me teetering there, by the way, during that
Yeah.
animation? If I was holding an item, I would have dropped it there. You always have to be careful about that, because that's a way that, like, hired hands will tend to lose items in that situation. You usually want to trap them, or make sure they're, like, standing on solid ground when you teleport them into the rocket ship.
Cuball, do you have any updog emotes on your Twitch?
I have like 2.
Oh, it's right here. Let's go. Just grab the health if you need it, and let's get out of here.
Hey. Don't die now.
I will be
Eggplant
leaving
Runner's
soon.
in shambles right now at how good this mother statue spawn is. Just
I think-
complete jealousy.
Yeah.
And there you go,
Otherwise-
Eggplant World. We literally
Hey.
didn't do anything eggplant related. We just cheated and got the child out of a wall. These are the things you could do in this game if you abuse it hard enough. And remember, folks, if you think any of this is cheating, just remember how many times this game has done you dirty. You decide whether or not it deserves your respect, or whether you should abuse every single thing that it gives you. I'm in the opinion that you should abuse this game when it gives you the chance to do so, because it won't hesitate to abuse you.
Everyone.
Just grab some
Alright.
health. Nothing
go.
else to do here. Funny Eggplant World.
Alright, want to do
We're
the
obviously
tube?
not going cosmic for this because it would take way too long.
Now
But
we've
like
got a
you could
tube cosine.
stack
Go
you
some
can
tube?
stack a cosmic run. Let's see. I have the only Vlad's cape. Let's do it. Let's do it with this one. So come up here. Let's come around on this side and do it here. So here's the last funny thing you could do. This is kind of like tube cancel instead of door cancel. Same basic idea.
Am I too close?
I'll move a little bit.
Okay,
Okay, I won't move. That'll do it.
got it. Alright, so
So
basically,
what's happening?
what I'm gonna... So Kosine's gonna, like, jump me out of the, like, the tube, and I'm gonna... You'll see what happens. Yep,
And you're off.
I cannot
See
do
ya.
anything.
It's just a worse version of door cancel where you cannot do anything useful, but it looks
Right.
really funny.
If you're
You're just
poisoned,
small
you just...
and slowly ascending
Hi,
through the level.
Cuball.
See ya.
See ya, cue ball. He'll meet us in the next level. He just went through the floor to get there. Like that's canonically what happens in this
That's the
situation.
secret exit.
It's the secret exit. And we're in Hundun with all the masses we have illegitimately obtained over the course of the run.
Could be all... We could probably noise play
And
like 4
remember,
times.
folks, this could be your co-op run if you're willing to set aside all of your moral values and just cheat and spawn things in by duplicating them. Again, this game has no respect for you. You don't have to respect it either. Its feelings aren't going to get hurt. If anything, it's just going to fight back harder.
And now we will wait for Hundun.
There's not much to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is still an auto-scroller. Gone are the days of shooting the bow of light at Hundun's eye when it's still closed and just immediately leaving. We have to actually just fight Hundun, and then in this case, we're not even going to Cosmic, so we just have to get the kill anyways. Maybe the glitch hunters will
be my
find a way
whip.
to speed this up.
Huh? I'll be your whip.
If you're holding a player, their directional influence actually doesn't matter. It just always goes directly forward. Alright.
heavy state. No one was there to heavy state the other head with me. I'm sad.
All right, you ready, Kosan?
No, I'm gonna miss it this time.
Countdown from 3, 3, 2, 1, go.
You failure.
No, we did infighting. Look, chat, infighting. That's what we meant to do. That's absolutely what we were trying to demonstrate here.
Yep.
And definitely didn't just scuff it. Oh my goodness gracious, are you okay? Alright, well, let's wrap things up. Let's kill Handan. There we go. There's our classic heavy state kill with a ghost to make it a little faster.
Can I do?
Alright, so remember all those things I said about don't destroy your back item, you might crash the game, yada yada. How are we gonna destroy this back item actually?
Well,
now we just put
if
it
you
out of
came in,
bounds.
I can.
Someone's 14
Yeah,
months.
you can do my cape. So let's put the cape out of bounds and show what happens when you do that. Alright, exchange the reference. Actually, who has the camera?
Just as a terrorist.
Justice, okay. So I'm mashing jump. I'm gonna get you.
You gotta get me.
There you go.
Oh,
See you.
Oh no! Oh.
Goodbye.
And here we expect something terrible to happen.
Nope, there we
And
go.
the game crashed.
There it goes.
That's it. That's why you don't destroy the back item. Don't let it fall out of bounds. Don't crush it. Honestly, a better experience than watching the credits and losing 60 seconds of your life. You can restart the game faster than that. Unfortunately, you would have to reconvene your lobby. But that's the co-op showcase. Any last words, Cueball? Anyone?
Thank you to Adam Zero for finding most of what we know about the back item glitch. They inspired a lot of the science we've done recently in this stream.
Yeah, back item glitch was like the pivotal like point of this run. What we wanted to really show is the potential of Vlad's cape. So if you ever needed a reason to go Volcana instead of jungle, here's another one. Everything in this stream like basically required Vlad's cape except for the jetpack thing.
Well,
we should. I think we're like really behind schedule for the event.
We're way behind schedule. I apologize. My
I'm
thing
sorry.
ran over. I hope it was at least entertaining. But
thank you for letting us do this.
They went through all this hard work to get the schedule back on track, and I immediately squandered it again. I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
You did it pretty good.
Segment. Yeah, throw in questions before they kick us out of here.
All right, thank you guys. That was a really, really good segment. I mean,
yeah, just
kick
us out of here.
I don't mind that going over time a little bit, but we are going to go ahead and do one more little host transfer. So don't panic, everybody. Close your eyes for a couple seconds, and we'll be back in a little bit with the Corby and Curse segment and Gary as the host. So
is everything going to be okay?
I don't know. You'll just have to close your eyes and hope.
Okay.
All right.
Goodbye.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you. See ya.
Bye. Thank you, guys.